Then feel free to go ahead and start to set up your space. Trying to think. I think I would like to offer a little bit of work or continued work on neck and shoulders today. So we did a little bit of that last week, and we're going to do a little different take on it. What can be useful for that is having a strap of some kind. So I have a yoga strap, but that doesn't mean that that's the specific tool that you need. What is useful is something that is, I would say, about at least 2 feet in length. It could be a dish towel, right? You want something that you can kind of pull gently without it stretching too much. If all you have is like a resist-a-band, that is okay, but that's what I'm going to recommend as far as an additional prop for our practice. I'll just take a moment to let you get those things, and then we'll get started. All right. So good. I'm glad that everybody's got that tool. Now you can set that aside for a moment. We're going to take a moment to center or breathe. So just taking a moment to get anchored back into the chair. Notice if you can feel your feet into the floor. Take a moment to notice if there's any way you can make your body more comfortable. And it might be wiggling or shifting around a little bit. It might be leaning into the back of the chair. And then from there, if it's useful to close your eyes, take a moment to close your eyes. And for breath practice today, we're going to focus on specifically taking the time to continue to pay attention to the breath. So when we are breathing, one of the simplest tools to stay present to the breath is that when you're taking an inhale, think to yourself, I am inhaling. As you exhale, I am exhaling. You can use other breath cues. Breathe in, breathe out, or simply in, out. I recommend having that presence of, even though our unconscious body breathes for us each and every moment, when we start to bring attention to the breath, we start to let our mind almost remap itself and do a little reset. But granted, we have beautiful, brilliant, and minds that can hold lots of things. And so it can be hard to stay concentrated simply on breathe in, breathe out. So the last part of our centering, what I'd like to offer is for you to notice where the breath goes. There's really no right or wrong direction or sense. It's just an exploration to notice when you breathe in, usually there's this place where the breath kind of hits or lands, and then it can radiate and spread from there. But it's an interesting practice to focus on. For some of us, we might feel it mostly in the throat or the chest, possibly the diaphragm or the belly. Could be somewhere else too, but just take a few more moments exploring that. When you breathe in, where does the breath go? The physiology of the breath, of course, is that we draw breath in through the nose or mouth. The breath goes down through the throat, into the windpipe, down into the lungs. where the lungs then connect to the heart, and there's the exchange of bringing oxygen into our bloodstream, which pumps the rest of that nutrition from the oxygen into the rest of our body. And so, a lot of times, if you're just learning that interoception, that ability to feel or notice your insides, it can be hard to determine where the breath goes. But because we might be thinking of the mechanics of our organs and tissues, but yoga looks at the energy of breath as simply that energy and flow that isn't attached to any particular physical sense of our body. It's just a part of our essence or being. So we'll stay in that space of understanding or maybe getting a sense of where the breath goes in our body, still paying attention to the breath. And then let's begin to shift towards a movement practice. So if there's an intention you like to set for your practice, go ahead and set that intention for yourself. I always think of intentions as it could be words or a mantra or something that holds close to you on your wellness path. It might also be that words aren't quite what your experience is right now. And if you do something like bring your hand onto your heart and feel your body, that's another way to establish or connect that mind and body connection. So either mantra or that touch. And then when you're ready to move, you can go ahead and start to blink the eyes a few times, maybe just reposition or adjust if you need to into your sit bones. And we're going to do a little bit of shoulder opening, softer stretches, and we're going to get into a little bit more strengthening around the shoulders. And then we'll add in some of the lower body as well. So for now, we're going to go ahead and start by getting a little bit into shoulder rotation. So bring the right arm out to the side and imagine that there's a jar lid on the side and you just simply want to screw and unscrew the lid. I don't really know anything else that we do that's kind of like this, unless you're like waxing or something. But just it's interesting all of the ways that there are things that are in our fingertips that connect up to the top of our head. And so sometimes even this movement feels like a lot, right? We can get into some of those spaces in the neck. All right, so then you can pause that movement, bring the palm down, and then reach the arm out in front of you. Now, I like to think of this, not that I've ever wanted to own a motorcycle, but think of like a motorcycle handle. Just gently make a fist with your hand and then bring the elbow wide. So we're taking a little chopper ride. And then from there, go ahead and tip left ear towards left shoulder. So what this position with the arm does is it can give us a little bit better alignment so that we get into the tissues we want to work in the neck. You're going to allow the head to stay heavy. And now you can once again bring that arm out to the side. Now, consider your arm now like an antenna. So you might lower the arm, you might lift the arm, you might draw it slightly back or forward, but pay attention to how it impacts the stretch sensation that is in your neck. And hopefully, somewhere, just like an antenna, you'll get to that perfect spot where things get really rich and a nice deep stretch. I even find a little rotation through the shoulder can get into some really good spots for stretching through the neck. And if it's not serving you at all, simply let the arm rest, especially if your arm's just getting too tired to hold up. Like for whatever reason, our arms are heavier than we think they are and we learn that when we do start to do stuff like this. All right, go ahead and take your left hand, bring it underneath the side of your head, and then use the effort of your hand to pick your head back up, just to keep all of that work that we just did through the side of the neck there. And then you can go ahead and relax or rest that other arm. So let's go ahead and do just one more thing here with the right arm. Bring that arm out in front again, palm down, take a hold of the handlebar and go elbow wide once again. And now go ahead and bring the arm up to the sky. So almost like a cactus arm with a fist. and down. So we're going to move up and down a couple of times. I think of this like those good luck fortune kitties with the little paw, but it is good for our shoulder as well. All right, and then the next time that the hand is up, you can release the fist and let's go ahead and relax that arm. Once again, if that shoulder feels pretty fatigued, that's pretty normal. There are so many little muscles in the arms that we don't use on a regular, and we're just kind of getting into some of those spaces. So let's go ahead and balance out and stretch the other side of the neck. So you're going to start out with bringing the left arm out to the side, or at least the other arm, and rotating or trying to unscrew that jar lid. And just noticing if you feel how far you feel that up. Do you feel that into the neck when you're doing this motion? Some of you might. All right, and then go ahead and palm down, sweep the arm in front, take hold of your chopper handle, and go ahead and bring the elbow wide. And then go ahead and tilt right ear towards right shoulder. Soften the weight of the head. Now, again, you don't have to hold this out necessarily, but you can extend the arm out and see if you can get a really nice stretch through the side of the neck. Again, some people's arms are going to be up higher, down lower, forward, or back. And you can, of course, just let the arm go if it's not helping. It's not making it better, right? Bring that right hand underneath the side of your head. Once again, use the effort of the arm to get you back up. You can relax or rest that arm for a little bit, shake it out. And we've just got one more kind of practice on this side with the arm. Go ahead and again, reach the arm forward, take hold of that handlebar and go wide. And then we're going to keep the elbow wide and simply lift the arm up and down a few times. Internal, external rotation of that shoulder. And then the next time that you have the fist upward, you can relax the fist, you can lower the arm. And once again, if you just kind of need to shake out the tiredness or the intensity of that, go ahead and shake out the arm. And then we're going to do one thing in between before we do the tension on the strap. But let's do just a short eye practice here. So staying with the head forward, go ahead and look to the right. If you need something to look at, you could bring your arm out to the side and just move your hand until you can see the fingers in your side eye. You don't necessarily have to do that, but sometimes it's hard to imagine bringing your gaze over to the side. And same thing, now we're going to bring the eyes up. So if you can follow, if you are using a hand, right, you're going to float the arm up and send your gaze up until you can see your fingertips. And then from fingertips, you'd have to switch hands if you want that target on the other side. You're going to bring your gaze, or you're going to look over to the left side. And again, maybe the fingertips held out there is helpful. Maybe you simply just move your eyes over to the side. I always find when I don't do eye exercises for a while and then I do them, my eyes water a lot. And I could feel them doing that already. All right. And then again, you can follow your gaze back to center, either with an object or not. So you could bring your fingertip back out in front of you if that's a good way to guide the eyes back to center, or you can simply move the eyes and then you can rest the hand. All right, so let's go ahead and take hold of the strap or the towel or whatever you've got handy. Just depending on the tool that you have, like this, the strap I have is really long. And if you tend to get a lot of wrist tension, you can always wrap the ends around the hand. It kind of takes some of the tension out of this. Now, a lot of times when we create tension, right, it goes into the rest of the body. So I want to be really mindful about, I'm going to have you hold your hands out about shoulder width apart, and then you're going to start to tug. If full force was trying to rip the towel or the strap that you have, be at like 50%, right? So you don't want to feel like you're going to break the thing, even though you probably won't anyway. But notice how this feels specifically around the collarbone area and shoulders. If all that tension went up there, I'm going to invite you to maintain the tension on your strap and glide the shoulders forward and back and around. Many times, if we simply glide the shoulders back, you get a little bit more space and you feel less of the intensity on your shoulders. Now we're going to add even more challenge. So, and some of you are mostly there. So I have my elbows pretty close to my body. If you haven't reached those arms out, go ahead and extend them now. Did the shoulders take that strain? Plug those shoulders back. Yep, and it's from this space, shoulders back, that you can lift the strap or the towel up to the horizon. So shoulders stay down and you go up. So when I say up, it doesn't have to be overhead, it just means up, right? So wherever you can keep the shoulders down and glide up and keep tension. Notice if your belly muscles are doing anything. Draw the abdominals in as you hold here, and then keep the tension as you bring that strap down in front. Once about chest height, go ahead and bend those elbows, bring that fabric close to you. And now go ahead and release or relax that. Now, if that did get into the wrists, take care of yourself, shake out those wrists. We are going to incorporate that tension hold in a couple of our standing postures today. So just know that we'll come back to this in a little bit, but for now, you can set that strap to the side and, or just so it's not in your way. And let's do seated crescent lunge. So, seated crescent lunge, we start with swinging that right thigh over to the side of the chair. And then we want to think about having the knees face over to the same direction. So you want to start to bring that other knee in, but know that you can also pick up that foot to get a stretch through that leg. So you can step it all the way back. Some of you, your knee might be close to the floor or touching the floor, as long as it's not pressing into the knee in an uncomfortable way. That is okay. It's just we have different proportions and leg lengths. We're trying to get stretched through that extended leg, that front of that extended leg, so that thigh. Hands, you can have hands pressed to heart center or holding onto the chair with one hand. Or I would recommend cactus arms. I think we're going to do a lot of shoulder stuff. So cactus arms would be good here. Let's take one more breath here in crescent lunge, and then go ahead and bring hands back to heart center. We'll release the posture. So you can start with that back leg, swing it back around, that front leg, pivot it back around. Maybe you just take a moment, see how that feels in your body. And then if you have some tensions, particularly into the legs, maybe you just simply windshield wiper those legs. When we do it from the seat of the chair, I always just think of like dusting, right? Like if you forgot your towel and you need to dust your chair, hands can swing side to side on the chair. If you have a fabric chair, I know that's not quite as easy. And then let's also do our first forward fold. So forward fold, you can start to bring your body forward over the legs, and you can let your upper body dangle if that's comfortable. If it's not, something like pressing your forearms into your thighs as you hinge forward is also a nice full way to get that expanse. All right, and then let's go ahead and roll back up. Coming back up to a tall spine. And then let's set up that crescent lunge to the other side. So you're going to go ahead and swing the other leg over to the side. Both knees should face the same direction. So again, we're trying to stretch into that front leg. So once the knees are in the same direction, you might reposition that foot. Maybe you don't, but you do want to feel stretch into that front upper leg. Hand positions, again, you can have hands to heart center. You can be holding onto the chair, or you're going to find cactus arms. Press the feet down into the earth, lifting up through the core. And then let's go ahead and relax the arms. Go ahead and bring the legs back to center. You can shake out through the legs. All right. And then one more time, let's come into a forward fold. Breathe into the back. And slowly start to roll back up, coming to a tall spine. Now, this next practice can be done from the seat of the chair, but if I demonstrate that way, you're not going to see anything. So I'm going to bring this to a standing practice, but I just want to invite that you can stay seated if you want. You're just going to be bringing hands behind your back. So you're not going to be able to see much if I stay seated. So when we come into, in yoga, we have what they call a bind. And there's a lot, even though it's a simple practice, there's a lot to it that you want to feel aligned in your body so that it feels like it's doing the right action. So the first thing I want you to do is feel where your shoulders are in space. And so I find movement helps me get there. So drawing the shoulders forward, gliding them back, lifting them up high, tracking them down, right? All the different places that our shoulders can sit. Many of us just naturally are slightly forward and in front of the spine. So I invite you to glide those shoulders back for a moment and see how that feels. Okay. From there, go ahead and bring your hands to the heart. And this should feel like it maybe expanded or opened the chest muscles. But I do have people that comment that they're like, well, I just feel that mostly in my shoulder blades. That's true. Because if your shoulders are typically rounded forward and now you're lifting the heart forward, you're going to feel probably a lot into those shoulder blades too. So I'm going to talk about the front of the body quite a bit, the chest muscles, but also know that your shoulder blades might feel this a lot as well. Okay, so from here, if this is feeling okay, go ahead and bring yourself into cactus arms, right? So chest is open. It should feel like that gave you more space. And if it feels like too much, go ahead and return back to hands to heart. All right, so now we're going to start to think about this sort of bind space. And you may need your strap in a moment, but you might not. So when we do a bind, it comes behind the body. So again, if you're in the chair, you're winging those arms back. I'm going to sit side and back so you can see this from many different spaces. So chest stays open and then you push those arms back, right? So just to be cognizant, you don't want to come forward and bring that, you want to still keep that nice open chest and simply swing those arms back. So again, from the back, it is shoulders stay in place and wing the arms back. So if you're sitting in the chair, just make sure the chair arms don't get in your way. All right, so this is where, when we come to bind, as you might imagine, binding is interlacing the hands or making that contact. So if it feels uncomfortable for you, still remember chest forward, shoulders back. Go ahead and see if interlacing the hands works for you. Now, for me, it dumped my shoulders forward, so it is not working for me. You can rest or relax that for a moment. And I'm going to give you some place in between winging the arms and clasping the hands. So, and you could use your shirt, but I'm going to also just recommend the prop that we have. So strap or towel, you're going to do all the things in place that you did. Shoulders back, heart lifted, cactus arm. So get to that shape first. Then wing the arms back, right? This might feel nice and open. Now, if you want to take hold of, like I said, you could do the bottom ends of your shirt, or you could take that towel or strap and then tug or give that resistance here. Your shoulders should still be back. And if not, you're going to go wider on that strap. Good. So from what I can see, everybody's got this. So it should feel like this very heart forward action. It again, you might feel this a lot in the shoulder blades. If you can, with this hold, we're going to hold here just for about 6 more breaths. Go ahead and turn your head to the right. Come back to center. Turn your head to the left. Come back to center. Now simply release your bind, whether it's interlacing the hands, tugging on that strap, or winging the arms. Whew, so that could be pretty intense, right? So we're going to give kind of a counter stretch to that. Whether you are seated or standing, go ahead and take a forward fold from here. And then let's go ahead and roll back up. Now we're going to bring this into Warrior One. So I do benefit from the strap. If you did not, you can set that towel or strap aside. I find just keeping it in one hand instead of having to pick it up in a moment more efficient, but you certainly can pick it up when we need it. Warrior One pose. So if you're doing it seated today, Warrior One pose is sweeping the right thigh over to the side and that other knee stays forward. Now you take your torso and face that over that right leg. And then the arms for Warrior One is an extension, right? So you could bring arms overhead, gently pulling into the towel or strap. And you can hold there. Now I'm going to set up those standing next. So if you're doing the seated, come in and out of that as you'd like for the next 6 breaths. If you're doing this posture standing with me, Warrior One, very similar to Warrior Two legs. You're going to step those feet wider than the hips. You're going to spin your right toes out to the side and bend into that knee. And then from there, again, you're going to Warrior Two, right? We're usually out to the side. Warrior One, we're going to face more towards that front. And then we're going to float or lift those arms up overhead. Beautiful. So now we're going to bring this into Humble Warrior. You can release the tension on that strap, and you might have to release it all together. Humble Warriors start to wing the arms back. You can wing the arms. You can grab the strap behind you as you hinge forward. So you might feel that this gets really heavy in that front leg. Draw into the belly as well. Keep it nice and bright in the legs and in the upper body. And now let's rise back up. You can release your bind, so release that strap or the back hands. You can either float those arms back up or bring hands to heart center. And then let's come back out of this. So if you're standing, you're going to go ahead and extend the leg, parallel the feet, and step those feet together. You can shake out the feet. You can do a forward fold here. For those of you seated, again, it's simply coming back to chair mountain pose, taking care of those shoulders. Looks good, everyone. This would be a good place in class that if you have water, if you need a drink of water, go ahead and take that for yourself. And then let's go ahead and set that up on the other side. So again, seated version of this, you're swinging the left thigh over to the side, and then you're gazing over that left side and floating the arms up when you're ready. If you are standing, you're stepping those feet outer hip width apart, turning those left toes out to the side and bending into the knee. So, and again, the idea is directionally we're looking towards that side. Now, I talked about this with not having a hold onto the support of the chair, but you can do this with pressing into the chair and just working with one arm if that's better for you. Okay. So let's come into Warrior One. Again, you might choose to create a little tension strap as you lift the arms up to the sky. Then let's go ahead and lower the arms down. You can release the tension, and humble warriors start to shift forward. Now you're interlacing the hands behind, or you're taking hold of that strap or towel. Heart comes forward. So it shouldn't feel rounded, shouldn't feel dumped forward. It is a lift forward. Beautiful. Yes. Good work, everyone. Humble warrior. Press down strong into both legs. Use your abdominal strength to pick yourself back up. Release the bind. One more time, coming to warrior one, either arms overhead or hands to heart center. And then let's release the posture on the side. So you can go ahead and extend the front leg, parallel those feet, step the feet together, shake out through the shoulders. Now, some of you might be very sick of this prop that I asked you to have today. We're done with it. So strap, towel, whatever you're using, now we are done with it. Maybe just take a moment to notice, how do your shoulders feel? We did some work there, right? We did a lot of lower body stuff too, but this is just kind of bringing it all together. Yeah, good. I got a thumbs up. Thank you. um, So I want to do one more strong practice, and then we'll start to just get into more of that stretchy space, but good work, everyone. So let's kind of bring some of this into tree pose. So a lot of times when we think of balance, we think of standing on one leg and the challenges that balance brings. But I think that we can also think about our shoulders, because a lot of times it's not just about standing on one leg, but like the rest of our body sometimes does this to try to keep the balance pose. So I'm going to invite in that you're either going to focus on one shoulder or both shoulders in tree pose. And we're not going to worry about external rotation of the hip, because I think that also can do things for the shoulders. So our balance pose today is going to be to shift into one leg and either lift up to the toes or draw the knee in. Also, as an alternate, if you have a rung on your chair, right, you could bring the foot to that part, or even the seat of the chair if that's comfortable. So you've got your standing leg, and then we're going to focus on, like I said, one shoulder or both. Cactus arms is one of my favorite. If it's not a posture that you like to embody, arm to the T, okay? So either one's going to work, and you're going to focus on that. If you don't need a support or to hold onto a support, you're going to do the same thing on the other side. T arms or cactus arms, or Wisconsin W arms, right? All right, good work, everyone. Nice challenge and balance. You're still feeling the balance. What is your abdominals doing? I've talked a lot about the shoulders today. Notice if your belly is strong here. Can you engage the belly muscles while you're holding into your balance? All right, let's go ahead and release this. So you can lower the arms. You can take hold of a support of the chair if you need to, and bring both feet down. Now to release that, if you do get a lot of stuff in your hips when you stand on one leg, go ahead and circle and shake those hips out. If you do feel this a lot in the back, take that time to do a nice gentle forward fold for yourself. And then let's slowly start to roll back up. And we're going to set up on that other side. So again, you got options for your tree legs. First, you can pick your other standing leg. You can come up to the heel. You can draw the knee in, or you can bring the foot either to like the rung of the chair or the seat of the chair. Explore where you feel good and challenged, but also somewhat steady. And then again, you're either going to focus on that one upper part of the body. You can do cactus arm, arm to a T, Wisconsin W, whatever feels expansive to the chest. If you are able to do both hands, you're going to do both hands. Notice what your belly's doing here. Lift up strong. Don't let the belly stuff go to the shoulders, right? So shoulders still stay nice and open. Good work. Yes. 3 more breaths. And then when you're ready, you can start to release those arms, gently lower yourself back down. Once you're back to both feet, again, you can shake out those hips if you need to. You can do a forward fold if you need to. If you're in that forward fold, when you're ready, you can roll back up to a standing posture and then making your way back to the seat of the chair. I should say you could do this standing. If you're really enjoying standing, you could do this next work standing as well. But I'm going to demonstrate seated. So um, sometimes I think less is more. And I know I just said that we didn't need the strap anymore, but you might need it just as an alternate. But let's start with this, and then if you do need the towel or the strap, I'll let you know. So less is more with just a gentle connection to bringing the fingertips near the throat area. You can come to the sides of the throat. You can go to the back of the neck. Now, bringing the arms to the back of the neck, this is why I said you could bring a towel and just bring the towel to the back of the neck and do like some gentle roll side to side. The one thing is our necks don't need a lot of pressure support. So like I'm one of those people that love like the deep, deep massage work to the point where I don't know, it feels like I might have bruises the next day. But with the neck, you want more gentle. Think of a very caring, soft touch. And so you're either going to gently rub that towel against the back of the neck, or you're going to just take your fingers and do little acupressure points or gentle circles. And you can do the back of the neck, you can do the sides of the neck. You might even get a little bit to the throat, but again, you don't want to push too hard. And you can let that come to almost a natural conclusion for you, whenever it feels like you've gotten into all the spaces, and you can slowly let the arms release back down. And we're going to come into figure 4 or pigeon pose next. So now if you want, you can come to the seat of your chair if you're not there. And then coming to a tall spine, figure 4 or a seated pigeon, you start to cross. You can do right ankle over left thigh, or whichever one you did first. I know a lot of times in virtual spaces, I would get asked of like, should I do my right leg or my left leg first? You know, a lot of reasons why that happens in group fitness is simply so that you don't bump into other people in the space. So a lot of times it doesn't matter when you're in your own space, because hopefully you've carved out enough space for you to not knock into things or other people. But if I don't cue it, we usually, or I think I usually demonstrate so that you do the right side first. But I thought I would share that because I think, you know, it's not an energetic thing. Like our body doesn't need right side, then left side or anything like that. It simply is so that people don't, you know, have collision accidents in group settings if we're all doing the same thing. Plus, we're going at a little different pace than, say, Zumba, I think. So, all right, let's take 3 more breaths on this side, on this hip. You can go ahead and return that leg down to the floor. Maybe shake out the leg if you need to. You could stretch or extend through the leg. Then let's go ahead and set up the other side. Noticing if this hip is very similar or possibly it feels completely different on this side. We tend to think that because we have a lot of things in our body in twos that they're going to be identical side to side, but Our hip structures, I think specifically, are usually vastly different side to side. And I imagine part of that is a dominance or a tendency to favor one side. So, like most of us, without thinking about it, will step with the same foot forward all the time. Unless you like very intentionally think about it, most of us will step forward with the same foot every time. Also, with like just carrying things, like we'll usually have one side or one shoulder that will pick over the other. Let's take one more breath here. And when you're ready, you can release figure four or pigeon pose on this side. Once again, if you need to shake it out, make that hip feel like it belongs on your body again, feel free to do some wiggles if stillness and just kind of observation of what it feels like to release that feels right for you, do that. And then let's do a spinal twist. So this is finding a nice long spine from the seat, gentle engagement through those belly muscles, maybe even just noticing where your shoulders are in space. Sometimes we have to do slightly back. And then let's go ahead and rotate. You can bring right hand over to the left thigh and look to the left and bring that left hand to the frame of the chair again. Does not matter if you use your left or right, you're simply rotating to one side and holding on for support to the either the opposite leg or the inner of the same leg. Even here, we sometimes have some um, regular or habitual things with the shoulders. Notice if you can relax your shoulders here. All right, let's come back to center. Nice long spine. And then let's take it to the other side. Take one more big breath here. And as you exhale, it's unwind, coming back to center. Is there anything else you need for your body? The one regular cool down that I didn't invite in is a wind relieving posture. This is where we take one knee and hug it tight to the belly for a moment or two, and then the other knee in. It's a good way to release back tension. You could really do anything else you'd want before a moment of rest. And then you could simply lean to the back of your chair. If you have a cushion or pillow, sometimes it feels nice to just set that on the lap to rest your hands. And then coming into a moment of shavasana or rest. We spent a lot of time thinking about this position and space that we're in on the inside and the outside today. When you come to shavasana, you simply want to be at rest. Just be. So let your body breathe as it breathes. It knows what to do. You'll be breathed automatically. Maybe take one more stock of your body from head to toe, mapping out any tensions and seeing if you can release those tensions. Okay, just one more moment or so to be in this restful space. Maybe your thoughts stayed within your body or traveled deep where there is no language, or maybe your mind did trail to some of the spaces in your life, past, present, or future. All of this is welcome. Our minds are brilliant. I invite you to harmonize with your own sense one more time in this moment. So, the next time that you take a breath in, be present to that breath simply by saying, I'm breathing in, or notice the quality of the breath you receive. If that breath is indicating you need more rest and time, just continue on in the stillness and the quiet of Shavasana. If you felt a gentle stir or awakening, almost a revitalization, let the breath guide you to wakefulness. Be gentle, take your time. You could start with wiggling fingers or toes, or maybe even gently rocking your head a little side to side. But again, take your time. There's no rush. If at some point it feels good to add more movements, you might start to roll shoulders, rock through the hips, stretch out through the limbs. Give yourself whatever you need. And then I always also like to invite, is there anything else you need to close out your practice? It might be simply to say, thank you, body. Maybe there's something else you want to lead into your day with. And then I would like to offer closing with an Om in community. So if you are in a place to once again sit up nice and tall, you can bring hands to heart center and Anjali Mudra. We'll exhale, inhale, and then Om. So whenever you're ready, exhale out all the air in your body. Take a deep breath in, then Om. Om. The light and the love within me honors and sees that light and that love within you. Thank you so much for sharing your heart, your energy, and you in this space and practice today. Namaste. All right, and I will stay on if anybody wants to as well, but I will stop the recording.